Okay.
Record. Okay, hello everybody. So welcome. Today is Friday, um, October 11th. Um, and today's Zoom call continues our process of implementing the UnityNet campaigns of continuous engagement with our members. So this event follows our recent Ubuntu Summit 2024 event that took place on Friday, October 4th, which launched our Youth Peace Weeks 2024 event series, which we're now in the middle of. So this also follows our UnityNet Community Unity Weeks 2024 event, which took place in August and resulted in us establishing the UnityNet PodNet Bioregional Humanitarian Social Enterprise Cooperative for the Greater Toronto Bioregion. So this new cooperative network is focused on implementing, demonstrating, and promoting various local climate smart solutions that will help to achieve the global goals, these SDGs, locally, as a means to establish an abundance economy that seeks to bring everyone forward in the Greater Toronto Bioregion of Southern Ontario, here in Canada, in the Eastern Great Lakes region of Turtle Island or North America, as well as globally. So the primary initial climate smart proof of concept project solutions that the co-op members will focus on include the UnityNet Climate Smart Ag and Food Training Centers, or CSAFT, CSAFT, as we say, or as we also call it, the Universal Climate Smart Community Humanitarian Social Enterprise Hubs, formerly known as the CSAF Centers. The other thing we focus on are the climate smart kitchens, these community learning labs, and the network infrastructure. Of course, that event series that we did in August followed from our Abraham Project event, which took place in June, on June 5th, World Environment Day, with the planting of a tree of peace and reconciliation in Salima and Senga Bay in the warm heart of Africa on the shore of Lake Malawi in central Malawi, within the Senga Hills Forest Reserve, a very popular getaway spot for nearby residents and tourists. So that spot in Malawi was also designated as our UnityNet Crossroads of East Central Africa Peace and Regenerative Development Hub, and a twin to the Youth Peace Gardens and Forests in the Credit Valley watersheds of West Toronto in the Greater Toronto Bioregion. Of course, this event also followed from our Pollinator Ambassador and Earth Stewardship Day, which took place on May 22nd, and which led to discussions with Judith Matheson and about another dozen people, including another couple of Indigenous people from here on Turtle Island, who blessed us with their presence and with whom I was able to have a one-on-one conversation with them as it relates to the Youth Peace Gardens and Forests, as well as the Youth Peace Routes, or YPRs, and the Story Pods, and our collective coming together project with all of the watershed grandmothers and all of our allies in all local communities, and with all of humanity across generations, and for 7-generation reconciliation, equity, regeneration, and peace. The story that we all wish to begin telling about our collective future. These are the goosebump stories that we need to be telling our children with our elders, and also with the decision makers across all sectors of society in each one of our local communities on the rocking chair circle, in the rocking chair circles, that are going to be established within the story pods in the Youth Peace Gardens, along all of the Youth Peace routes, in all of the watersheds of all bioregions, on all continents and islands of Mother Earth, as we continue our community engagement activities on the ground in each local community and watershed of UnityNet. So this is the vision we need to hold true to and help to make it a reality, each one of us together and separately. Of course, all of the events that we did this year started with the Sunlight Spectacle 2024 IGU Summit Practical Action event, which took place on Monday, April 8th, during the solar eclipse that happened on that day. And it was at this event where we launched our 3-continent project, which is intended to showcase global cooperation in action through the establishment of the Youth Peace Gardens and Forests in all countries on 3 continents: Turtle Island, Al-Kalbulan, or Africa, and Eurasia, along with all of the youth peace routes, ideally in partnership with UNESCO members and others like Rotary International and other service organizations and local CBOs and more. These are the events that were intended to be sponsored by UNGC members from all three continents, and where each one of the youth peace gardens will have in them three key symbols of peace. The first being a tree of peace and reconciliation planted in ceremony by the local communities, with all partners, including the mayor and council, and the tribal leaders, and the Chamber of Commerce, and the UN Global Compact local network reps, and more. The second being a Bubble to Ken peace pole, which is where the members of the Bermuda Sanctum think tank will be important to have on our team, because this was actually Corin Smith's idea. He was the first to say that he wanted to do it in Windsor, Ontario last year during Wittafest, the Black African Festival. And I can put in the chat here a link, to that Wittafest so people can see that this did take place in Windsor for the past couple of years. But I ended up in Taiwan last summer, so I wasn't able to do anything here in Canada. So the third symbol of peace that we now also want to be placed in every youth peace garden and forest is a story pod, which has not yet been demonstrated, but is based on the Pyropod 4-meter prototype, and where the idea with the StoryPod project is to teach young people in all of our local communities of UnityNet using various types of virtual learning tools, e-learning with artificial intelligence-based design tools, how to design their own bubble buildings locally where they are, and to do it in ways that are culturally relevant for each of their own youth peace gardens that they, the young people in places like Africa, will also be the ones to establish, also ceremonially, so that they can start to get the necessary skills that are going to be required to design, build, manage, and maintain their own living structures in their own local countries, bioregions, and watersheds. So in future, they'll not need to rely on others to do it for them. So through UnityNet and with PodNet GTA, we are supporting all of the various open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure solutions, the 5 configurations or types, but we take a different approach to develop than most other networks. We've been establishing an anti-colonial network and system that truly puts power into the hands of young people and families in local communities in the majority world, the 99%, so that it is they who can determine their own fate and future, rather than having one being imposed upon by others, outsiders, as has been the case throughout colonial history. We do this through South-South and North-South partnership ecosystems that include allies from multiple sectors. We also work with organizations like the BIPOC Alliance, and where we are also hoping to work with organizations like the Prince's Trust in Canada, but of course, one step at a time. Getting back to our Living Calendar, back in April, following the Sunlight Spectacle event, the first event of the year was also quickly followed by our April 22nd Undrip Day, Earth Day event, intended to be a drumming ceremony done at city halls. But instead, we did this drumming event here in Leechcroft Park, in my own community, which is also when we first engaged with Lisinka Ulatoska from the Netherlands, who eventually brought us on board as part of the UN Commons Cluster discussions, for which we are now co-organizing some CIFA plan actions with her and her teams around the world. And of course, this all follows from our series of weekly IGU Summit events that took place every Thursday until December 28th, 2023 last year, and where we ended up doing 134 weekly calls in a row. But that was the past. Today is the date we came about now. And it is Friday. Sounds great, end of the typical work week, but it is also International Day of the Girl Child, where this year the theme is girls' vision for the future, which conveys both the need for urgent action and the need for persistent hope, driven by the power of girls' voices and their vision for the future. So again, as I noted, as we move forward, I will put some information into the chat if it fits. Sorry. Looks like I didn't measure this. So anyway, what I will do as well um, is I'll put in some links in the chat for each page, but this will be published afterwards um, for everybody to see all of the links to everything I just talked about right now. So moving forward, uh, before I start the actual main presentation, I do like to do a land acknowledgement. I would like to say we begin today by acknowledging that we walk upon the traditional territories of Indigenous people. We recognize their history, spirituality, culture, and stewardship of the land. We're grateful to all Indigenous groups for their commitment to protect the land and its resources, and we are committed to reconciliation, partnership, and enhanced understanding. We acknowledge the land we're meeting on here in the Greater Toronto Area is the traditional territory of many nations. On the land known as Tikaranto, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Wendat, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, as well as the Métis peoples. It is now home to many diverse peoples. We'd also like to acknowledge the land we are on is at the meeting place of two treaties, the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and those of the First Nations of the Williams Treaty. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 and is subject to the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. We also acknowledge the Two-Row Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Six Nations of the Tikaranto watershed and the settlers, an agreement that bound them to work together, but to develop their societies in parallel on these shared lands. In our role as settlers and displaced people on this land, we share the responsibility of challenging and disrupting colonial systems that enact violence upon the land and stand in solidarity with Indigenous peoples. We'd like to thank the Indigenous peoples of these lands, including First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, for sharing this land with us. We also acknowledge and recognize all of the world's Indigenous peoples as stewards of Mother Earth. As an added note to this standard land acknowledgement, I would also like to quote what was written by one of our members of UnityNet India, who wrote last night that water, trees, air, biodiversity, and nature are the immutable guarantors of all our lives. If we do not respect, protect, and value life, we are the ones who do not know to respect, protect, and value ourselves. Life is beautiful, and it is our responsibility to protect and enhance it. So again, putting into the chat a little bit of information about the land acknowledgement, just so you do have that information for yourselves as well. Again, there will be more. So at this time, I would also like to show a short video that you can actually find on the United Nations International Day of the Girl Child webpage. As you watch the video, think about another big issue for girls, and actually for all young people, students, and families across continents like Africa and in developing countries and marginalized communities around the world, including in some cities, not just in the rural communities. Just replace the word water and water accessibility with the word food, and think about the various parallels in terms of the ability of these young people to think about a better future for themselves and their own future families. So I believe the way that this can work is I need to stop the share and then maximize this, go back to Zoom, share again. This time we go to the video, share. So everybody hopefully can now see. It says Vanessa Nakate on how the climate in the top right, top left corner. So I'm gonna start this. Uh-oh, you know what? I forgot to press share sound. Sorry. So let's try this one more time. This time I will share with sound. Uh, Oh, there we go. Share sound. I just need to find the button. Let's moved it around a little bit. Okay. Try that one more time. Okay.
I've got to be powered by SAR to got to meet how they had this war to collect that by the climate crisis. Climate justice is a fight for single lives. Climate crisis could be to have a solar powered pump that is making what girls in school. It helps them envision that more communities receive this water scaling up, and it can only be possible through funding and increasing resources to ensure that girls stay in school.
So again, I'm going to stop the share. It does stop. And I'll go back and share my screen again. Back to the presentation. Share. So as you can see, there are many issues. So of course, what we have been focusing on in UnityNet are the issues related mostly to food. So this is where a video like this, which highlights one of the issues being water, also applies in other realms such as food. So one thing I lost my chat. I am putting into the chat that YouTube video, which actually comes from a website of the UN. I thought it was a good one. The other thing I'm going to be putting in the chat as well is a link to our UnityNet school food program. Just so everybody has that access as well. So here within UnityNet, we are still in the process of organizing first a 3-continent project and with the fundraising and promotional campaign intended to showcase global cooperation. The campaign is called Pedal for Peace, through which we wish to and intend to establish the first youth peace routes, ideally starting on 3 continents, here in North America and Turtle Island, starting in Canada and perhaps also in the USA, as well as in Africa, or Al-Kalbulan, starting in the sub-Saharan regions, and if possible also in Eurasia, starting in South Central Asia or in the Middle East. But this may depend on the partners over there and also on the volatility of the situation in places like Israel, Iran, and Gaza, among others. So all of our actions are also being done in support of the Rotary Dare to Be Great International Year of Literacy 2025 campaign and the UnityNet Net Zero Tourism Initiative, and for the eventual establishment of the UnityNet Unity Eco Village Network for the purpose of supporting the UnityNet Unity Biodiversity Network members and their work in restoring nature at the bioregional and watershed level in all local communities of UnityNet, as we seek to help humanity accelerate the transition from Homo configliere to Homo amore universalis, because we believe that the philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of the government in the next. This is actually a quote from Abraham Lincoln. So I would also like to refer in particular to the work of the members of the Regenerative Living, Learning, and Lifestyle Network, which you can see the link here on the screen as well. And of course, you can join this network as well, with the links also being shared in the Zoom chat, which you can save again by pressing the 3 little dots, save chat. So here we have the links to those groups. And again, I will be putting additional information into the actual final presentation. But I actually haven't done something, and what I haven't done is actually introduce myself. So my name is Lloyd Halferty. I am the co-founder of UnityNet International, a hybrid holistic practicum learning system management company based here in the Greater Toronto bioregion or the Greater Toronto area of Ontario, Canada. So we assist with community partnership building locally and globally, or as we like to say, glocally, by leveraging a unique set of community engagement activities developed in partnership with the members of the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists, or IACBA. I'm located in the Leechcroft area of Thornhill, in the Markham side of Yonge Street, north of Highway 407, where the original green belt around Toronto used to be, and which used to separate Toronto from Richmond Hill. I'm in the German Mills Creek subwatershed of the East Don River, which is the watershed that dominates the east side of Toronto. I'm also about 1/3 of the way from the headwaters of the Don River, which empties into Lake Ontario, the lowest and last of the 5 Great Lakes of North America, which dominate our entire cluster of bioregions in this part of the world. The Don River is also the namesake of the Don Valley Parkway and other local features and communities here in the Greater Toronto bioregion on the east central side of Turtle Island, North America. I'm also the Chief Ecosystem Director, Program Development Director, and a Sustainable Society Consultant for Energime Institute, which is headquartered in Manhattan and is a private 501(c) nonprofit company and a member of the UN Global Compact, a United Nations academic impact member and partner. We started out as a virtual university created to help empower global populations to reestablish a sustainable balance with their local environments by designing and implementing projects that support a strong and diversified local economy, while integrating core sustainable technologies and infrastructure into those communities, especially in the areas of renewable energy and high-density food growth solutions, along with systems for sustainably managing local waste streams and protecting local water resources. I'm also a Goodwill Ambassador for the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors and Activists, with a portfolio that covers Canada, La Francophonie, the Commonwealth of Nations, and Turtle Island communities. The IACBA network members are also seeking to empower our communities to engage with royal, indigenous, and tribal leadership, as well as interfaith non-governmental academic, business, and banking collaboratives that collectively allow humanity to achieve an abundance economy that seeks to bring everyone forward. Again, I will put my contact information into the chat so that everybody has that as well. So as was noted during previous discussions and the promotions for this event, at UnityNet, we are facilitating the coming together of many local actors, the local community leaders across multiple sectors, by providing tools to assist local communities create their own local, productive, regenerative, nature-based community spaces, both physical and virtual, that will allow for ongoing collaborations to happen among all relevant stakeholders, including those at the grassroots, or as we like to say, at the tree roots level, among those who also need to learn the concepts and vocabulary of sustainable and regenerative development and find their own place at the table when it comes to decision-making. At UnityNet, we're also reimagining for biodiversity and Earth systems health beyond climate by providing the tools and the spaces for breaking the silos through multi-sectoral collaboration at both the local and global levels that go beyond the simplistic to mainstream the solutions for achieving an abundance economy that seeks to bring everyone forward. Our key values include humility, responsibility, and innovation in service to life and all our relations. Our hashtags include life value, peace education for an abundance economy, so we can deliver cosmic laughter in life learning gardens through StoryPod sharing of origin stories, through open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure set up to ensure that open knowledge and open learning programs in humanitarian entrepreneurship can be delivered locally everywhere on Earth. At UnityNet, we're here to hold the spaces and gather the people and organizations through partnerships among all those people who will eventually want all of these same things in their own local communities, watersheds, and bioregions. These are the systems of productive infrastructure that will allow all of us to learn how to design, fabricate, implement, and execute them locally, according to local needs and conditions. And by learning how to build, operate, manage, repair, and replicate the various regenerative development solutions in all of the places where each of us are living on this planet, we can help to become more resilient, sovereign, and self-sufficient. Whether you might establish them in or across your own local community, watershed, or bioregion, in the country you're in, or in whatever other place in the world where you may also want them to be built as well, in order to ensure our collective prosperity and to help bring everyone forward as part of an abundance economy that serves all needs. Essentially, at UnityNet, we want to build an army of doers to facilitate the education and training of people with practical skills in regenerative development solutions. People who know not because they read it, because they have done it before. People who can go out into their own local communities, watersheds, and bioregions, wherever they are, and make things happen, and who have all of the right tools and supports so they can also teach others anywhere in the world about how to do all the same things that they are doing themselves. Because that is what is needed, what is imperative for the survival of human societies in the face of extreme climate change and other disruptions like AI, is that we undertake a massive transition of all of our infrastructure and all of our economic systems within the one generation, about 25 years, so we can get to the tipping point in a transition where eventually everyone on this planet, starting with young people, will be living not just sustainably, but actually regeneratively, and will be continuously learning through their whole lives about how to live in harmony with nature, to live regenerative, abundant lifestyles as humanitarian entrepreneurs who are helping their neighbors and ensuring that everyone is brought forward into the 21st century and beyond, and especially into a new post-fossil, post-conflict, renewable carbon era for humanity, which is already beginning to emerge as an era of humanity that ensures that we'll not just survive, but will thrive on this planet, the only one that we have and our only real home in the universe for at least the next 7 generations. So with that, and before I move on, I'd like to say one more thing. I would like to actually read a short story that was shared by one of our UnityNet members in Uganda, again, just yesterday. So the story is called Walk Gently in the Lives of Others. Not all wounds are always visible. I thought it was relevant to the theme of today's discussions, and it starts like this. The car in front of me was moving like a turtle and would not give way to me despite my constant honking. I was about to lose my cool when I noticed the little sticker on the back of the car that read, "I am physically disabled. Please be patient." And that changed everything. I immediately calmed down and slowed down. In fact, I became a little more protective of the car and the driver in front of me. Yes, I got home a few minutes late, but it was okay. Then it occurred to me, would I have been more patient if there wasn't a sticker? Why do we need labels to be patient with people? Would we be more patient and kind to others if people had stickers on their foreheads, labels such as "I lost my job," "I am fighting cancer," "I suffer from emotional abuse," "I lost a loved one today," "I feel worthless," "I'm financially bankrupt," or any others like that? Everyone is fighting a little battle that we know nothing about. The least we can do is be patient, kind, and compassionate. Let us respect the invisible labels, knowing that each person carries multiple labels. And that's why it is also said that we must walk gently in the lives of others, because not all wounds are easily visible. I'd like to thank Doris for that little story. So I am going to put again in the chat just a little bit of information, links for you to join some of our networks. So at this point in time, actually, I would like to do or have all of our members of UnityNet, and for anyone who is knowing what we are doing, I want to describe our process of localization and the ceremonies and infrastructure surrounding it, where the process, of course, starts as follows. So the first thing that we want to do is to have a ceremony. So again, what you will find in the chat is a link to the UnityNet Unity Tree of Peace and Reconciliation tree planting campaign and network. I'm also putting in some information about the Youth Peace Gardens network as well. So that was step one of our process for the globalization of the global goals, which are right now the Sustainable Development Goals. But after 2030, we suspect that they'll be called the Regenerative Development Goals, or RDGs, a set of goals that will take priority between the years 2030 and 2045. Another stepping stone on the path toward eventually achieving peace on Earth. At UnityNet, we hope that what we are doing will help humanity to accelerate that path to peace, along with helping humanity achieve an abundance economy that seeks to bring everyone forward. By planting the tree of peace and reconciliation, in an existing garden or forest in ceremony with some indigenous peoples, we can consecrate the UnityNet Youth Peace Gardens and forests along all of the youth peace routes on all continents and islands on the earth. Again, you'll find the link to our network in the chat. Both the gardens and the forests have their own local chat group supporting the Indigenous Global Unity Network, which you can also find, again, in the chat. So this we can consider step 2 on our journey to localize the global goals, but could also be part of step 1, although we prefer to do a second ceremony to actually establish the youth peace gardens and forests by also planting a peace pole and raising an Indigenous unity flag in ceremony and unveiling a bronze or other permanent plaque affixed to a rock that represents the geology and commemorating the event. An inscription written in multiple languages, including the local Indigenous languages, that will be readable by anyone into perpetuity, or at least for the next few hundred years. It is during the second step where we can also establish the Watershed Council Empowerment Partnership in the local watershed where the tree was planted and the Youth Peace Garden or forest was established, and whose job it is to ensure the success of the local and bioregional female and feminist humanitarian entrepreneurs, the FFHE, who live in the local watershed, and who will be the ones who are learning how to implement the local solutions for achieving these global goals in their own local community. The SDGs out to 2030 and the RDGs beyond 2030 and out to 2045. In the interim, the Watershed Council will also need to identify and assign a watershed grandmother based on the advice of the Indigenous elders, who serve as equal partners as part of the Watershed Council, as per the Two-Row Wampum Covenant. So, again, I'll be putting some information into the chat with regard to the programs that we are doing. Just so people have some reference to what is happening here in the greater Tkaronto bioregion. And there will be, again, as I noted, more links in the actual presentation. So the next step is to install a rocking chair circle at the story pods in the youth peace gardens or forests. This will be where decisions are made with regards to the local needs and the health of the people and all our relations in that local watershed among all 8 sector partners of the watershed councils in that particular bioregion. Along with the rocking chair circles, we hope that all of the story pods also include a Benny the Bubble Bot as an AI-enabled communication system and media center, which will also be brought to the rocking chair circles in the youth peace gardens or forests whenever the watershed grandmothers decide that a meeting of the local watershed council is needed. And at other times as well, Benny the Bubble Bots should become ubiquitous in all of the UnityNet Youth Peace Gardens and Forests classrooms, including the CSAF centers and peace centers, and at the community unity hubs as well. So again, I leave a little bit of information in the chat for those who want to know more about the different things that we are, again, doing here in the Greater Tekaranto bioregion. Again, you can save that information that is in the chat. So this will be the first entry point for all community members in the local watersheds to learn about, via hands-on experiential learning, all of the various open source regenerative climate smart infrastructure, including zero energy and carbon negative buildings and climate smart food growing solutions that they, the local FFHE, can deploy themselves in their own local communities with the right knowledge and skills and the supports from the Watershed Council members. Again, I will put in the chat the relevant information for people to connect into those networks. And all of this is also intended to lead to the establishment of the Community Unity Garden Learning Centers, the fun places for local people in all local watersheds and bioregions and on all islands of the world to learn about community transformation that will allow local communities to not just become more resilient, but to also begin to adapt to climate change and to potentially also thrive, even in a much warmer or different climate than the one they live in today. So again, you'll find the links to the relevant groups in the chat. I am putting a few additional ones this time around, just because there are quite a few relevant networks that people may wish to join. So the members of UnityNet International, and equally all of the members of the Global Unity Network, would be extremely happy if all local people in all watersheds, in all bioregions, and on all islands were to learn how to design, fabricate, build, operate, and maintain their own local zero-emission and carbon-negative productive community infrastructure, like this one, as you see on the screen, called Solar Roof Village, along with the various other solutions that include all of the productive, regenerative, climate-smart infrastructure solutions established in all local communities, cities, towns, and villages, in all local watersheds in all bioregions, on all continents and islands of Earth. So I'd like to ask those who are on this call to check out the video using the link that you do see on the screen, and that I will also save again in the chat. This is one example of the many types of productive climate smart infrastructure and living habitats that we want to teach people how to design, build, and deploy, to construct, to operate, to maintain, and to repair in every local community on Earth, eventually on all continents and islands of Mother Earth. So you can see again in the chat a link to the video. I'm not going to be playing the video right now, just so we don't go too long on this call today. So it's at this time that I now want to open up the conversation and allow those who are still with us on our call today to introduce themselves. Tell us your name, where you're located, your country, your community name, and if you know it, the name of your watershed and bioregion that you're living within. Let us also know the organization that you're with and any other affiliations you have, including if you are either running or managing a CBO, an NGO, or a humanitarian enterprise in your own local community. So just tell us your main interests in the work of UnityNet, how you can contribute to ensure everyone in our network of networks is successful. And lastly, also tell us how you're currently helping others in your own local community to succeed with what they are doing in order to ensure the success of all the people and all your relations, including the other life forms in your own watersheds and bioregion. So this is at this point where I can stop my share and open up to allow anybody who's still on with us to introduce themselves. So give me one second here. So I'm just flipping back and forth between screens here. Not the fastest thing in the world. So perhaps we can start with Stephanie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Lloyd, for that presentation, and welcome everybody to UnityNet International, our Global Indigenous Summit, the International Day for the Girl Child. And we're so thrilled that everybody has joined us on this day to mark this very important day. As Lloyd shared with us in his presentation, I am Stephanie Schuler. I am also located in Toronto, Canada, Turtle Island, near to Lloyd, and I am also a co-founder of UnityNet International, focused on the learning modules for all of our community members and our children to learn the important skills, hopefully through experiential learning regarding climate action, food security, community well-being, and mental health, and regarding smart processes for planet Earth, for a regenerative planet Earth, both the physical planet and also all of its inhabitants. I'm also a co-founder and Vision Council for the Maui Aloha Project, which is a global eco-village initiative. We're hoping to support the conscious creation of intentional living communities that are focused on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and focused on regenerative well-being of the individual and the community members and beyond. And I am also in my final year of my doctoral studies at the University of Toronto, OISE, the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education. I'm in the Department of Curriculum, Teaching and Learning, and my focus of my thesis research is on the experience of having language-based learning disabilities. I've also been a podcast host and producer for languages and the Center for Educational Languages and Literacies. And I am also the Canadian Programs and Networking Coordinator for AERO, the Global Alternative Education Resource Organization. We're committed to looking at all models where children and communities thrive. And so glad to be part of this global initiative. Thank you, Lloyd.
Thank you. I'm just looking at Virginia in the top right corner of my screen, if she's able to introduce herself as well. I believe Virginia may be in the Philippines. Is this correct? Can you hear us, Virginia? Are you able to unmute? She looks like she might be frozen. If Virginia's not able to come on, then perhaps Lisa Anise would like to introduce herself.
Yeah, I think I can do that. The sound of the steam heater whistling in the background. My name is Lisa Anise. I work with a division of UNESCO called the International Dance Council. I've got several different jobs. I'm centered on cultural education, identity, physical health, of course, community health as well. I've spent many, many years working in many types of nonprofits, building programs of one kind or another. I came across, actually, Lloyd came over to me and asked me about a program that I've been working on for a great many years, and asked me to share some of the connections I'd made. And of course, when he told me what was going on with the group he was working with, how they'd spent over 20 years coming up with a plan, I realized that what they were doing and what I was doing were the same thing on different wheels. So I agreed to become Global Outreach Director. I've since been voted in as a founding member of UnityNet International. I'm also the Global Outreach Director for UnityNet, as well as Executive Vice President for the United Countries School Sports Council, one of a number of sport-related groups that are making changes in how they operate in order to be part of this program. There are more coming in all the time. And of course, because cultural preservation, expansion, research, and all those other things that come along with it is a big part of what occurs here. I'm the one who goes around and starts telling people yes and telling people no, you can't. So, but it's all in the name of bringing us all together as a worldwide grid of nonprofit institutions. Certainly, all the raw materials are there. It just comes down to sharing our own experiences in building this with you so that you can make those adaptations to your own situations and how they're run in order to do the same thing that we've been doing. And you have all the raw materials and some very fine-tuned materials as well. So as this comes forward, the whole idea of these different partners that we bring in is to be real partners, not people who just raise funds, because we already know money doesn't solve issues like this. So it comes down to, teaching, talking, sharing, and building our coalitions so our voices can't be ignored. So as we get this all going, programs such as this that give us a celebration and understanding of why we have these days and the things that have prompted them to be formalized are so incredibly important as well. So I don't live in Canada. I live in San Francisco, California, where I have been since the early 1990s. The UN would like to renew their sector here, which has been closed for some 40 years, I believe, since Ronald Reagan. 40 odd years. So they'd like to get that part restored and maintain a higher level of activity across the states because of all the trends that the United States has made that have proved to be not the greatest of things. We have some great ideas here, but we also have some really awful ones. And, well, if you were living here right now, you'd be hearing me spout a lot more than just broad hints. I'd be getting specific in a hurry. Okay, so I'm going to toss this right back to you, Lloyd, because I could easily go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. No, I know what's going on over there. We get the American news up here in Canada, and so it's in our face all the time.
Well, and that's just it. It's not news. It's just battles over who can come up with the greatest number of.
They're eating the dogs.
Exactly, feeding the dogs. Well, and it's the same stuff over and over and over again. Like repeating it is going to make a difference. So all it does is make my brain hurt. All right, moving forward, back to you.
All right, so I'm going to move forward and ask maybe this time if Rhymes MC would want to introduce himself. If you can unmute. Did you want to say a few words? It's okay. If not, we can go back to Virginia if you.
Yeah, this is Abakal.
Hello, Abubakar.
Yes. I want also to say this one. We celebrated the Girl Child International here in Nakiva Refugee. And it was really, really interesting and joyful for the girl child.
So that was today. You had some kind of celebration today, yes?
Yeah, we had it this side of Nakiva refugee settlement.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully you'll be able to share a little bit of that information as well into the WhatsApp groups, if I'm
Yeah,
assuming you're a member.
I really want to share the pictures, the way they are showcasing their talents, the way they have been really excited to see that day celebrated here in Nakiva refugee settlement.
Mm-hmm. That's in Kenya?
Sorry? In
That's
Uganda?
in Uganda, okay.
Yeah.
I've never actually been to Africa myself, so at some point I'll get the geography right. So again, Rhymes, are you able to unmute? Did you want to say a few words?
I know speak well English language.
Okay. Are you French or Portuguese or
Portuguese.
Portuguese? Yes.
Yes.
It's okay. We'll get the translation tools on here at some point. So that's actually part of the I mentioned these Benny the Bubble bots, which are intended to be enabled with AI. As AI moves forward and becomes more able to do things for humans as tools. One of the things they can potentially do is have real-time translation into any language, including into indigenous languages, into other languages. And so we can have these conversations and you would be able to hear me in your own language, even as I speak another language. So I'm gonna go back to let's say Andrew Sigor. If you would like to say a few words, introduce yourself as well.
Yes, my name is Andrew Saigor from Kenya. I'm happy to be with you today.
What is the organization that you're with?
Sorry?
What is the organization that you're with? Are you with any organization?
The problem is the language. I don't understand English well, but understand Kiswahili and Kisamburu language.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So we'll see if we can get some translation, either translators in these calls or the translation software. Then I'm just moving across my screen to Abu Bakar Manchesi. Are you able to unmute yourself and say hello?
Yes, Abakar Machesi.
Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Uganda, Nakiva refugee settlement.
Oh yes, you spoke already. Yes, it's just flipping around on my screen.
Yes.
Because your camera was on previously. Now I recognize. Pastor Salim Shaban.
Yes, I'm Pastor Salim Mayek Shaban from Kenya, working for African Christians Organization Network. Our main goal is to make sure that the culture is more comfortable by having improved cooking stove, by having organic fortified fertilizer so that she can have food, and also by enabling her to have fuel briquettes so that she can have fuel to cook. That is the task that we are working on. And I'm working with Robert Levoy, the one that actually Lloyd introduced me to, and National Geographic Society, the funder that actually funded our project, and also the PAR Foundation that actually also funded our project. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a follow-up call as well, Salim, because
yes,
as I noted during our introduction, one of the big programs that we want to be focusing on as we establish these learning spaces in our communities is actually what we call the climate smart kitchens. So there is one specific cook stoves, and I know you've been a member of the cook stoves groups discussions for many years as well. If you remember Dr. Paul Olivier in Vietnam. So I really want to get his cook stoves, specifically his designs, this clean the gasifiers that he has as part of the Climate Smart Kitchens programs, so we can get those best top class clean cook stove solutions implemented everywhere, and then integrate that into a biochar based growing system. So we also want to integrate those with a waste management system along with an aquaponics system. So we can teach everybody about how to use the biochar in the most productive way possible. And that's where the climate smart kitchens are going to come in as a key component of the clean cooking revolution that I think we can help to create.
Yes, I'm looking forward to do that, and I'm very much interested to work on that so that we can have, we can reduce indoor air pollution to women. We can also have food, organic food to our people, so that we can reduce these other things that we are going through. So I will be very happy to do and implement that project. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do have a group. I don't know if you're a member already of the Climate Smart Kitchens. I believe I may have also saved it, the links in the chat. So we'll have that ongoing discussion, especially in different countries of Africa, where we're hoping that these programs can be launched. We're looking at a ceremony this December, early December, in the Middle East, then launching a larger event potentially in Nigeria, but we want to involve a number of different countries as we had talked before here about creating a climate smart youth forum event. So that is now on the table again, potentially to take place in Nigeria, but again with the participation, hopefully virtual participation, of a number of different countries, talking about these specific solutions like the stoves, the kitchens, the biochar, the aquaponics, and the food security solutions in particular.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So who hasn't talked yet? I see Horace. Is Horace able to unmute themselves and introduce themselves as well? Doesn't sound like they're able to, unfortunately. Well, I can circle back to Virginia. Are you able to come on camera again and introduce yourself, Virginia? Maybe some connection issues. Have you introduced yourself, Cloud, already? I'm also seeing somebody with a name ITELP17. If you could rename yourself to your actual name, that would be helpful. And again, for everybody on the call, please put your contact information into the chat so we do have it for our own records, to make sure that we can follow up with you after this call as well. And if you're not already on the UnityNet, one of the UnityNet pages, thank you, Horace. I'm just seeing that you're not able to have audio. What I will do, I think everybody, I hope we've had introductions from everybody at this time. I'm going to reshare my screen back to the presentation, just so we can finish up here, because there are a few additional pages that I do want to just finalize our event today, before I turn off the call and the screen. I do like to summarize a bit so you can better understand what it is that we're doing here at UnityNet. So the whole point of creating the youth peace gardens and forests, along with the community Unity Garden learning spaces in every local community of UnityNet, is in order to create hybrid spaces, real world and virtual, where new opportunities for innovation and collaboration can happen, especially in the physical realms of our own local communities, watersheds, and bioregions, our physical environments wherever we live. So the reason for the story pods being AI enabled is in order to help to empower us humans in all local communities, and especially our young people on all continents and islands, to harness the collective intelligence of humanity in ways that were once considered impossible. Because this next phase of humanity will be all about how we can reimagine our living environments in a net zero world, such that we can continue our path forward toward thriving on this planet, even in a much hotter and more destabilized climate. In other words, it's about finding ways of adaptation through rethinking our infrastructure and our production systems and our relationships with each other and with the rest of nature, with the common term being all our relations, to describe that convergence. As part of the unfolding of a new era in human history, as described by the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island, as the coming together of the eagle and the condor. So what I'm going to be doing as well again is putting a few.
Lloyd, you're muted. Lloyd, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to go back and probably do this again.
No, just the past few words.
Oh, okay.
But we're still on that first page, Global Unity Network.
No, it's not the first page. It's actually page 15 or so.
Okay.
All right, that's the right page. So again, putting into the chat here a little bit of additional information just for people to connect. So these are some of the programs that we are trying to achieve. We do have the various networks. We call this a network of networks. So we have a number of pages that I believe and hope that most people will have some interest in joining, because they do have different focus in each case for each one. So we are as well trying to establish what we call an educational institution partnership ecosystem, the Learning Partnership for Global Unity, where we're hoping to implement some global sister schools programs as well. So one of the networks we have is a learning exchange program, where eventually we'll work with those institutions to create some exchange programs, both in person and virtual as well. So this is another program, We Energize Global Cooperation Turtle Island. In particular, we have something called the CTP program for building holistic, regenerative, climate smart communities. So this is a community-based partnership program for the practical global drawdown solutions demonstration that we're moving forward with trying to implement here. But we want everybody in the world to also learn how to do it themselves as well. So that is part of the overall program. So this is the last slide. This is actually the same as the very beginning, but I am putting, again, additional information into the chat for people to understand some of the things that we're doing here in the greater Takaranto bioregion, and the importance, as I say, of understanding the global, but working at the local level as being immensely important in being able to put legs on the work that we are doing. So again, the last thing I'll put into the chat, hopefully this will actually fit, and won't go over too much. With the text. So that actually completes the presentation today. Are there any other additional discussions that people would like to have with regard to what was presented today, with regard to the actual day that we have, where we are seeking to, of course, empower girls through the interventions that we are assisting our community members to make. I'm seeing you're coming on our screen as well again, Stephanie. Did you have a few final words you'd like to say?
Just thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Lloyd, for this very important presentation. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody towards our aligned goals for planet Earth and all of our well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So with that, I see it is about 10:15, not too bad, about an hour and a quarter or so to do this event today. I won't keep people on. I actually have another event at 12 noon that I will be preparing for as well. But I will, of course, continue to engage with everybody through the WhatsApp groups. We also, of course, have all of the related Facebook and LinkedIn professional networks as well for public engagement and for engagement with all of the various professionals in this sector, like Pastor Salim Shaban, who's on with us, who is an expert in those cook stoves, as we mentioned before. And so we have various expertise within our network, people that you may not realize that are on the calls and that are in the groups with us, are looking over and ensuring that we grow this, not just this network, but the capabilities of all of our members, so they are able to become leaders, which is what we want to see as the leaderships networks in terms of understanding what we need to be doing, both in the physical realms as well as the social realms, around especially the partnership building and the peaceful interactions that we want to achieve and create in all of our local communities, especially. And so this is why we focus on the youth peace gardens and forests, the youth peace routes, and the infrastructure for promoting this this whole idea of creating a peaceful, regenerative economy that ensures that everybody is being brought forward and nobody is being left behind, as the UN says. But we want to help all communities leapfrog basically into the 21st century, bypassing many of the traditional development pathways that have been taken in the past and are typically used, where we can now engage, especially with those corporations that are members of the UN Global Compact, engaging with governments, engaging with the nonprofit civil society organizations, the global organizations like Rotary International, and work with their members, work across all of these sectors of society in each local community to actually figure out what it is we need to do to ensure that nobody is left behind, what it is we need to do to actually ensure that we're thriving wherever we are in the world, regardless of the environment and the changes that are happening. It is possible. The technologies, the solutions are there. We just need to understand them. And then some of them are very high tech, like AI, but some are actually fairly simple to do and can be done by people as long as they have that knowledge of how to do it. And then if they're being empowered by the local watershed council members, those governments, banks, Rotary Club members, UN Global Compact members, all these others members of the partnerships in the local communities, they should be able to know, or they should be able to learn how to do it themselves and actually go out there and do it themselves and create the thriving economies that we know is possible. So with that, I'm actually just admitting one more person into the call just as we're wrapping up, unfortunately here. I will end the call in a few moments, but just let me save the chat. Thank you very much, Stephanie, for allowing us to do that this time around.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you all. There may be another event in the next few days on World Food Day on October 16th. There could be one final event during Youth Peace Weeks at this time. I was thinking about having one on Sunday, but I don't think I have really the time to do that because it would be just basically putting something together very quickly tomorrow, promoting it tomorrow and getting it done for Sunday. But I think that's a little bit tight on the timeline. If we had pre-planned this a little bit further out, it probably could have happened, but I think just with the hectic schedule we have, we'll probably bypass the Sunday event, which is, by the way, the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction this coming Sunday. But again, the World Food Day on October 16th, which is next Wednesday.
Thank you,
Likely
Lord.
we're going to be doing another event.
Okay.
So thank you all, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.